Hi, and thanks for joining. My name is DiFraia, CEO at Inlayer. I'm joined by our leadership team, Matt Gropp, Noel, Nguyen, and Marc Tribbe. And today we're going to talk a little bit about our new and exciting integration with the Microsoft Teams platform. So to kind of start the conversation, I think everybody understands unified communications is really skyrocketing in terms of growth and adoption. And really, when we dig into that, customers are historically transitioning from heritage platforms or hosted PBX or voice systems into cloud, and this also includes things like messaging, not only voice, but really video and everything that consumes our customers' businesses, right? But when we look at that transition, only about 5% of the market's actually leveraging platforms like ours that really automate the experience to really make it simplistic, low cost, and really less disruptive. But by the end of the decade, almost 3/4 of the customers will be in the cloud in one way, shape, or form. So over the next few years, many customers, we're talking hundreds of millions of devices, will be in that transition or journey mode where they're going to be transforming their experience. And these are things that, our exciting partnership with Microsoft and Microsoft Teams really help enhance that journey, make it simplistic, lower the cost, lower the complexity, or really make it something that is attainable for our customers. So when we look at the current way, it's wildly manual. There's lots of point products to manage a multitude of different elements as part of the IT supply chain. There's a lot of, again, manual and even truck rolls and other things that need to happen to execute end to end. We also have this emerging security requirement. Anything that's connected to the network these days really needs to be attuned to the security best practices of the organization, or sometimes within the vertical in which they service. And lastly is, depending on the situation, customers may not have the appropriate agility to leverage their preferred device in the appropriate location. And we're going to address all these things today as we kind of walk through the offering, and we actually demo this live for you today. So at a high level, our integration for Microsoft Teams does a number of different things to really enhance the experience. Number one is we offer what's called zero-touch provisioning, and this is something that's extremely exciting. This allows a customer to plug in a device and have it come up, get the appropriate configuration attached to the platform, and be in use immediately within minutes with no manual intervention. We can do a lot of things on the management side of the house with how devices are grouped and organized, whether that's by team or location, which we'll showcase as well. Really enhance remote management capabilities. And this is really important with today's modern workforce, is that we have customers that have hundreds or thousands of locations. So being able to remotely triage or reboot and do some things there to get you back up and running is really vital for today's business. It's always on and 7/24. The ability to real-time track and understand the health and the viability of those devices that are across the platform and across these locations. Doing a lot of advanced features such as speed dials and contact management and directories and other things. But lastly is, how do we take a lot of manual tasks and automate them into a programmatic way and do them in parallel? This is really where we save a tremendous amount of time and effort and complexity, not only on day one when we onboard or migrate, but ongoing through the life cycle and journey of the platform use. We're going to highlight a lot of these areas today. So what we're seeing is that number one is that we can provide a single platform to manage multi-vendor devices, right? So if you've got Poly, Yealing, Cisco, and others, we can be that single common utility to make it simplistic. So therefore, we get rid of a lot of the point tooling that is required in today's ecosystem. We can make it extremely fast to migrate and to onboard. We're seeing statistics where we're reducing the time and cost by 100x, right? And we're migrating locations within minutes, which we'll talk about how we can do that. The ongoing management of these devices, whether it's firmware, configuration changes, and other things that happen through that life cycle of that device, these are things that we drastically reduce as much as 95% over time. And lastly is that if we can manage the configuration, lock down a lot of the parameters, the settings, and enforce This allows our customers to meet their security demands that we're seeing that are ever so emerging. And again, the combination of these outcomes really are helping customers be successful in this new ecosystem and really at the start of their team's journey. So how does it work? As you can see here, we're a SaaS platform that's hosted in our cloud. We communicate to the device over the network, over HTTP through, and really we're just capturing the management traffic. The voice traffic connects directly to SIP Gateway and Microsoft Teams, which we'll showcase today. And we're able to provide all these advanced functionalities and features. So things around how do I auto provision and configure, to the ability to reset or reboot a device, understanding the health of the device in terms of monitoring of the device and of the SIP traffic, firmware updates, which are handled by the cloud as well. But the ability to group and manage, and extended features such as what we call compliance lock. This is that security feature that allows us to lock certain parameters of that configuration to ensure that the device stays in that desired state. And doing things like we mentioned, zero touch provisioning, that you plug it in the wall and it auto provisions itself and auto connects it to your experience within Teams. And again, is that these devices that we're talking about today for Teams have to be SIP certified through the SIP Gateway functionality within Teams. If it checks that box, then there is going to be a path to leverage our amazing platform to really accelerate your adoption and simplify and reduce cost. So with that, I want to hand it off to Marc Tribbe. Marc Tribbe is our Chief Product Officer here at Inlayer. He's going to talk to us a little bit about what's the onboarding experience, a lot of these different use cases that we're talking about, and show a lot of this functionality in real time. So Marc, go ahead and kick it over to you and you can take it away.
All right, I appreciate it, Greg. So I appreciate everyone joining, and like Greg mentioned, I'm just going to quickly run you through some of the integration in a whole, and just walking you through some of the initial setup and everything Greg mentioned before. I'm going to navigate through a couple different portals, so I'll go slow, but just to show you, how simple this is to really set up. On the Microsoft side, it obviously all starts with the 365 Admin Center. And here, all you're really doing is making sure that your appropriate users have the correct license. So in this case, I've got a couple Teams license already assigned, and I'll be ready to go to pop over to the Teams Admin Center. Now, before we go into an actual user, and I will show you how we onboard a phone, etc., it's important to set the different calling policies. And here, what you're really doing is configuring the policy for the SIP gateway. And what you're really looking for is to allow SIP devices that can be used for calls. So pretty straightforward. Once you set that call policy, you can then go into your users. And from here, I already have one set up. I'll just go into my account here, and I can come into the policies that I had just created and make sure that that my user actually has the allow SIP device calling policies for the SIP gateway. I can always, if this was new, I could add a phone number for this user, etc. So a little navigation on the team side, but pretty straightforward. Now, before I go into the Phonism side, I do want to point out a couple things. Greg mentioned a few times about zero-touch provisioning. This is really a strong feature that we offer with the majority of, or not all, the manufacturers that we have as far as the certified devices for Microsoft Teams. So what this allows is, if you had a new phone or say a used phone that was factory reset, typically you'd have to go in and manually put in a provisioning URL for that phone to talk to. Now with zero touch provisioning, that phone can be brand new or factory reset, and it'll go out to the manufacturer. And because we have integrations with all the manufacturer, it will actually set the provision URL to point to Phonism. So that's going to avoid, doing one by one or possibly even a truck roll to provision that URL. So very, very strong feature that we have, and saves a lot of time. So if we have a brand new phone or a phone getting ready to be used, you'll see an initial sign-in button, and Microsoft provides you with a URL to go to and a simple pair code, and that'll come into Phonism. And I'm going to walk you through that in just a minute. Before I do that, I'm going to log in and actually show you the steps that need to be created as far as an integration to set this up on Phonism. And we've made this very, very simple. What I do want to point out and show you is if I come back over here real quick to Teams, you're going to see a list of all your users, all in one large list. The benefit of using Phonism is you can now break these out by locations, etc. So here I have an enterprise for all the customers, say in America. And I have a couple here of example, Runza in Midwest, or Walmart. And then under this location, we refer to them as domains, or under the location we refer to as tenants. You can now set all of these up, and you can logically, visually see exactly how all your team's devices across all the different customers are logically set up. So very, very simple hierarchy, and a huge benefit of Phonism. So if we wanted to go into a tenant, I can come into a tenant and list out all the phones. Now, another benefit before I go into this tenant, if I come all the way back and you have thousands and thousands of devices that you need to manage, you can do one of two things. If you have a MAC address, we have a global MAC address search that you can instantly get to a device, so you don't have to navigate all over the place. Another view that we have is a map view. So you could have devices and locations that you could drill down to very quickly and quickly get to a phone. So very, very powerful. So I will go into this location. Second. And I can instantly see this phone. If I wanted to see all the phones in this location, and I think there's just one in here, it's going to provide a full list. And you can see, important data like when it was created or last modified or even last provisioned. You can see the different software, etc. So if I wanted to add a phone, now that we have Zero Touch configured, we have the integration here. You can actually, I'm sorry, I'll put the main customer integration. I'm going to show you how simple this is to set up. You just select MS Teams for that customer. You provide a name, and Microsoft provides, which we already have all the hooks and automation set up for Europe, Americas, and Asia Pacific. And that's all you need to do in order to set up integration from Phonism to Microsoft Teams. So now let's go add a phone. So I can go into the phone list. You can add one individually, but more importantly, we allow you to do it in bulk via CSV. And you can easily do this. So you can see in this location, I have multiple devices here. So very straightforward, very easy to do things in bulk, which is terrific. Some other provided functionality is I can select one or multiple different devices, and now I can do remote reboots, I can do factory resets, many different things you can leverage via the Phonism platform. If I want to come into, say, a different device and manage additional items, such as speed dials, contacts, I can load up all the different contacts and we can serve those up to the devices very, very easily. So I'll come into a device here that's already onboarded. And by the way, when I add a device, let me just show you real quick. you can easily see all the different statuses on the Phonism platform. So you can see if phones are waiting for activation, they just haven't entered their PIN code yet. Once the PIN code's put onto the phone, you can see an onboarding, and that's where kind of the magic happens between Phonism and Teams. And then once it's onboarded, you can see that clearly stated that it's ready to go. And because one thing I do want to point out, Microsoft sends Phonism a configuration file. This is what makes your phone ring ready and ready to go. Once that's signed in, it goes onboarded, and the configuration's in there. It's ring ready and ready to go. You can come in and do other things such as setting your time zone. You can come in and manage different speed dials. You can see here we actually do have a visual button manager where you can clearly see these. You can move these around if you want via the Phonism interface. So a really intuitive interface to provision all of this. And then, let's see. Lastly, this is just a screenshot showing you that we've done a lot of hard work integrating all the different device types within Teams. So I appreciate you again hopping on the webinar. I know this is very quick. We have a lot of documentation and video tutorials out on our knowledge base, but feel free to explore and let us know if you have any questions. Appreciate it.
Perfect. So, Mark, I think you did a great job walking us through. Number one is I can sync the account from Teams to Phonism, and then I can collate the users in the appropriate way that the organization needs to see it, whether it's by department, location, or any other type of unique identifier, which I think is great versus just one giant list, right? The other thing, Mark, I think you walk through as well is that if I'm a service provider or a partner, I can have multiple Teams accounts listed here and have secure multi-tenancy across all my customers, and then also have that collation underneath the customer location, user type, team, or whatever, again, those distinctions that you need to administer. So you can have, we've seen this a lot where we have service providers that have hundreds of Teams customers that they're managing, and they have to have logins for each individual one, and we could just have one master and have navigation to all under one console as well, which I think can be very helpful. We also see that with large organizations, even enterprise accounts don't all have one Teams account. They may have multiple. And then you can have IT or your admin team have visibility across all through a single pane of glass, right? Or through any type of multi-vendor device type, because I think that's the other thing we typically see is that it's not uncommon for folks to have multiple different vendors under the same roof, right? And what we talked about before, having point tooling for each thing, and then a lot of manual things. And you kind of showed us our bulk capability where I can highlight all, reboot all at once, or push a new update to all, which could help trigger a migration or movement to a new account. Is doing a lot of these things in parallel, save tremendous amounts of time versus having to do kind of the manual way that persists today.
That's exactly right, Greg. And there's some even more added benefits that I would welcome anyone to reach out and discuss, such as we support MTLS as far as security and all the device serving up the configurations, very secure. You could even we've seen a few examples where, yes, say in this example, account one is pointing to MS Teams. You could actually configure account two. Maybe it's an emergency backup line that go out to a different PBX. So there's just a lot of other things that we can solve for very specific needs.
It's fantastic stuff. And certainly, we'll have our contact information. I urge you to reach out, and we can do some more deep dive one-on-one sessions with you and your organization to get a little bit more granular as well. But hopefully this gives you an idea of the type of capability we have, but more importantly, how we really enhance the team's experience. So looking at the onboarding process, because this is typically where we see a lot of disruption and cost, right? And some of the things that we really help accelerate here, one, I may not need to buy a new device. And again, if it's on that approved list from Microsoft, then it's eligible to leverage the platform. So that's going to be critical to make sure that you check the compatibility. But leveraging potentially hardware that you already have is going to avoid a cost of at least $200, maybe as much as $600, depending on the device type. But the other thing, and Marc highlighted a lot of these things when we're either onboarding a new device, you buy a device from a partner, it shows up, someone needs to do something to it, right? Is that we're seeing at least 30 minutes, if not upwards of an hour, setting up the devices and users per, right? And again, is when we have everything in templates and we do it all remotely and we can automate or do things in parallel, these are things that we can drastically reduce the cost, the complexity, and remove things like travel and expense. Marc mentioned this before, is that we see customers often having to have people on site to do things like reboots. Well, we can do a lot of these things remotely. So things on time, cost, and also travel are the things that we really eliminate from the equation or drastically reduce. But for us is that if we can avoid a device, or we can avoid a lot of the cost, complexity, and disruption that we see on the cutovers, is that we're saving at least 100x time and cost on that, right? And we have so many examples of customers cutting over locations within minutes because they've got everything in templates and they can automate and parallelize efforts, right? And I think these are things that, we'd love to be able to showcase to you and your organization to see how it applies, whether you're a partner, a managed service provider, a telecom, or you're an enterprise or an SMB customer. I think everybody experiences these types of challenges in this transition. And these are things that we're purposely designed to solve for. So just in closure, what we talked about today is, number one, is our integration with Microsoft Teams is really changing the game on how folks onboard and also manage connected devices in the ecosystem. So we can really accelerate the deployment and migration processes. Number two is we offer rich feature functionality above and beyond that's what's natively available. Marc mentioned, what if you want a secondary line to go to a different platform for emergencies? What if you want to add the directories or speed dials and some of the extended attributes? Well, our platform has that natively and can provide that for you. Without it, that's not native to that offering today, right? And that these are things that are going to be one-off, hand-to-hand combat, custom, which are very difficult to manage at scale, which we obviously are purpose-built to do. We're very flexible. We have a vast array of APIs. So one of the things that we didn't necessarily stress upon today, but I think it's good to note, is that all the feature function that we're talking about today is also available via an API. So why is that powerful? Why is that important? Many of our partners and customers have different levels of control in their environment, and they would love for us to plug into what's already established. So this comes down to a workflow conversation, is that we can absolutely do that, and we certainly welcome that, to make things even faster and even simpler and even more streamlined, right? Having an API-driven approach allows that flexibility and choice. And lastly is the ability to enforce security and compliance at scale. Marc talked a lot about my configuration file and template, and then there's things called software rules that can enforce parameters to ensure users and devices stay in that desired state. And then Marc also showed screenshots of, have those updates been applied, or are they still pending? So then you can have that level of proof. And those things, again, are native to the platform. And we have great quotes from a lot of our partners and customers out there about how we've really helped reduce cost, reduce complexity, simplify things, increase the customer experience, and improve that experience, and managing everything from phones to ATAs to gateways and others. But really, again, simplifying, reducing, and automating, thus reducing cost and reducing risk, is really what our mantra is, right? And now that we have integration with Microsoft Teams, I think it's, again, is we're already seeing customers really flock to the platform because of these are things that, honestly, when we build and enhance our platform, it's really via feedback from our partner community and ecosystem. And these are things that we had been working jointly with Microsoft over the past 6 months, as well as the partner community to kind of close these gaps and really enhance that experience for the Microsoft user. So thank you again for your time. Hopefully this was informative. I'll leave you with this: is how to engage with us is certainly come to our website, phonism.com. We also have our YouTube channel. We have social that we have here. We have Matt Gropp and Noel Nguyen. Matt's our account executive and Noel runs our customer engineering. So feel free to engage there as well, or sales@phonism.com. And hopefully we'll hear from you soon. We'd love to engage to learn more about how we can help you and hopefully make your experience to Microsoft Teams, or if you're already a Teams user, make that experience even better moving forward. So thank you again, and look forward to hearing from you. Take care.